Got Dinesh D'Souza here because I want to talk about this new film, Police State. If you haven't heard about it, watch this.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Chief Division Counsel and DOJ have approved a no-knock breach. We want the subject to be on display, doing the walk of shame, full visual impact. Any questions?
Are we becoming a police state?
Government told American citizens they couldn't go to church on Sunday.
I've never seen anything like it. It may be the Russia other people grew up in, but not my America.
FBI warrant, come to the door now!
There's a heavy banging at my door. Open up! It's 15 marked units on my property. I got SWAT in the back of my house.
They took a battering ram to my door.
6 a.m., I hear boom, 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 and hear about 6 to 8 military-style soldiers, with the tallest one of them pointing an automatic rifle at my head. FBI, we have an arrest warrant!
Shock you out of sleep, drag you out of your house half clothed, refuse to give you a warrant, ransack your house.
Now I'm facing 15 years in federal prison
for doing nothing other than exercising my right to free speech.
I had no reason to be attacked.
I hope that you remember Matt's name and the role you played in killing him.
How did we give the state this kind of power?
9/11 changed everything.
We're going to expand the Bureau from law enforcement to domestic intelligence. Legal shackles are now off.
It used to be Islamic terrorism. That threat is kind of dissipated.
Our focus is shifting.
They're moving to domestic extremism. It really paints anybody who's right of center.
What we need is a person to look at, and then we go find out what crime you did.
If you're a pro-life, pro-family Catholic, they define you as radical.
The demand for domestic terrorism vastly outstrips the supply.
When candidate Trump came down the escalators, the government had a meltdown.
We are going to drain the swamp. We'll see about that.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
The Patriot Act and FISA were used against Donald Trump.
Google literally rewrote their news algorithm based upon what Trump was doing so that they could get this guy.
You just take out the word Russiagate and you put in COVID origins. You take out COVID origins and you put in Hunter Biden's laptop. You take that out and you put in January 6th. It's the replicated play from the deep state and their partners in the media.
They're not just deplatforming you, they are trying to throw people in prison.
If they're coming for me, they're coming for you.
Hands on your head! These are anti-government.
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech!
Violent extremists, and they must be dealt with. We can do anything we want.
Police State. Exclusively in theaters October 23rd and 25th. Tickets sold only on policestatefilm.net.
All right, Police State, Dinesh, the film is, a few years ago, I mean like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we would have thought, oh, it's Hollywood kind of going kind of crazy. Yet what you covered in this film is exactly, we know all of these things to be happening here now ever since COVID. Does it all go back to the Patriot Act? Is that where we went off the rails?
Well, it is true that some of it historically goes back to 9/11 and the fear in people after 9/11. Fear is often a way to get people to surrender liberties that they wouldn't otherwise give up. But it wasn't just 9/11. Then you fast forward to COVID, you fast forward to January 6th. So there were various pretexts for moving the police state forward, but the direction is the same. I mean, you're quite right that I could not have made a film like this, 5, not even 3 years ago. People would think I'm doing the film about like North Korea or China, one of the other classic police states. But if you look at the defining features of police states, what do they have in common? They have mass surveillance of citizens. They have censorship. They have ideological indoctrination in schools and the media, propaganda. They tend to be one-party states. They try to lock up the leader of the opposition party. They criminalize dissent. They suppress religious liberty. They have political prisoners. So kind of go down that checklist and ask which of those features do we now see in America? And the shocking answer is all of them.
Yeah, it's staggering. It's staggering. As I was watching even the trailer there, I was comparing that to actual news stories that we know have happened. What was the most surprising thing you discovered on your path of making this film?
Well, I wanted to have two kinds of people in the film. One is whistleblowers, informants, people who know the origin, but also the architecture of the police state. How is it put together? I think most Americans don't have a good understanding of that. How does it work? Who's in charge? And then on the other side, I wanted to have a lot of ordinary people that are just going about their normal lives. They might be civically involved. In other words, I'm a mom, I'm concerned about what my children are learning, I'm a pro-life activist, and then bam, they come face to face with the police state with what Orwell calls the boot stamping on the human face. And the reason I wanted to have a lot of ordinary people is I wanted to answer the guy who says, hey, Dinesh, I'm not Donald Trump, and I didn't go inside the Capitol on January 6th, and I pay my taxes, so I'm okay. I'm never going to have to worry about the weaponization of government or the FBI showing up at my door. And my message to that guy is, you couldn't be more wrong.
It doesn't really matter, does it, Lance? I'll bring you into the conversation here. You saw the trailer, police state, what Americans are dealing with. It really is brokering fear in a new way than we've ever seen before.
Yeah, and it has a kind of a gritty intensity that 2000 Mules didn't approach. I wanted to ask Dinesh, what does he anticipate the viewing audience on this to be? How many Americans will see this movie if it gets the kind of distribution of 2000 Mules and maybe 20% more?
Well, 2000 Mules was seen by a large number of people. I would estimate 20, 25 million people. This film is a long way from there, but I think it will slowly get there. And I say that because it's a film that leaves people deeply shocked. I've stood in the theater, people are crying, they're hugging each other. It's very emotional. This film is far more cinematic than 2000 Mules, you're quite right. 2000 Mules, because it's focusing just on electronic surveillance, cell phone geo-tracking, there's a technical aspect to that film. But this is a film that not only has clinically recreated FBI raids that I hired FBI agents to help me do those things so that the language, the weaponry, the whole thing would be so authentic that anyone watching from the FBI or the DHS, the Homeland Security Department, would be like, wow, that's exactly how that would have gone down. Plus, I have dash cam footage, surveillance footage, so I'm able to actually take you inside a guy's apartment, and you can see the FBI, thugs coming up the steps, cutting out some tape to cover his camera so that nobody can record what's going on, pulling out a massive battering ram and coming in through his door, and you're watching that from inside the apartment. So this is the kind of stuff you see in the film, and it's kind of mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. And Lance, in this film, what he's referring to, this actual footage, it isn't a dramatic recreation. It's the actual footage. What was surprising to me with the guy putting the tape over the peephole so you couldn't see who he was. It was good. John, you hear what this film is. Were you surprised at all this that we're dealing with in America in this police state?
I'll tell you what, let's just pretend that in 2019, I went into a coma and I just came out right now and I saw that. I would say that you people have lost your minds. Except I was there in 2020 and I could not believe how many people were fine with it. I can't believe how many churches said, yeah, we'll shut down forever. I can't believe that even when pastors, there's lots of them, lots of Pentecostal pastors, as well as Pastor John MacArthur in California. He said, no, I'm opening up my church. We're gonna defy this unlawful, deal that's going on. I can't believe the amount of evangelical leaders that rebuked Pastor MacArthur and these other pastors that I aforementioned, telling them that they are supposed to obey the state. It reminds me of what you read about with Dietrich Bonhoeffer in Germany in the 1940s. He's speaking out against Hitler on his radio show. He's a Christian, and he's trying to get these pastors to understand what's going to happen. And he just keeps getting rebuked by fellow Christian leaders telling him to be quiet, keep it all about the gospel. This isn't what Jesus wants you to do. And I just think that sometimes I don't know why it's got to be that way. I truly believe that if the church in America would just rise up and act like the church, I think we would see all of this turn back around. I think that America would once again love freedom. We'd learn how to love our neighbor again. But I tell you what, we've got to wake up. The church has got to regain its Holy Spirit power and its moral confidence.
Dinesh, what are you hoping to gain? What do you want to see happen in America with this film?
Well, the film is being blocked and suppressed in various kinds of ways. We have had sort of cyber attacks on our website. Amazon and Walmart won't sell our DVDs. If you let me say, policestatefilm.net is kind of the one-stop shop to watch this movie. So if you go to policestatefilm.net, you can stream it you have your choice of platforms. You can watch it on your big screen TV, and you can also order DVDs, which is kind of not a bad idea as we are going into Christmas gift giving. So I liken this movie to me as an animal that spots a predator behind the trees. And you've got all these other, antelopes or wildebeests, and they are grazing lazily. And I'm trying to warn them, guys, we are all in danger and we need to take protective action. My point being that when the jaws of the police state slam shut, then there's not a whole lot you can do. Then the best thing you can do is run. I mean, get out, get your family out, take your money out. But in the meantime, the film is intended to be a kind of wake-up call for Republicans, for patriots, for conservatives, for Christians. Very often, I think it is the passivity of our side that provokes the aggression of the other side, because they feel like we can get away with it. Those guys will never do to us what we're doing to them, so we need to just press on. And this is part of what gives the left and the Democrats the chutzpah to do the tyrannical things they're doing.
And history has said that's exactly what would happen. I believe this time it's changing. Dinesh, thank you so much. The film is Police State. Thank you for coming by, Dinesh. We're going to go see the film and help support it. Thank you for bringing it to us.
My pleasure.
All right. FlashPoint Live closes out 2023 in Pasadena, California. Join host Gene Bailey, Hank Kuhneman, Pastor Cheon, Rick Green, John Amachukwu, Abby Johnson, Charlie Kirk, Eric Metaxas, and Mike Lindell for this two-night closeout to the Truth and Freedom Tour. Thursday and Friday, November 30th and December 1st at Harvest Rock Church. Make plans to join us. Register today.
I am a Christian.
I am a patriot.
I stand for truth.
When no one else will.
I know, no matter what happens in the world, there are others like me who follow Christ, not culture. And I am not alone.
My children will grow up in a country that prioritizes keeping them safe. And I am fighting for that future.
I am a source of God's truth for people living in a world that wants to confuse them. And I am not afraid to speak up.
I am leading my community to prove to them that my generation is not lost. It's my time.
I am the FlashPoint Army.
I am the FlashPoint Army.
I am the FlashPoint Army.
I am the FlashPoint Army.